All right, good morning. I thought it'd be a good time to have a good dog and coffee this morning, but both sides seem to be confused about Trump. And when I'm talking both sides, I'm talking the right and the left wing. Let's talk about the right wing first. Okay, the right wing, they elected Trump. They supported Trump because he was a successful businessman. That's their narrative. Well, he was a businessman, and I guess personally he was successful. None of his businesses were successful. He run them into the ground, and he used fraud and deception and conning to achieve that. Though every business he's ever touched has failed, personally, he was successful. So the right automatically assumed, all right, we got the successful businessman, okay, and so he can make this country successful because he's going to run it like his businesses. Correct, he did. He run it just like his businesses, and again, he run the business into the ground, but yet gained personal success. So yes, he has benefited greatly off of this presidency, both terms. The second one, he's benefited a lot more than his first term at our expense. So, and they still they don't grasp that part of it. All right, I just don't understand that. And then we'll talk about the left. And the left are confused because they don't understand how these morons on the right could support this. Well, it's simple because your blue no matter who people support a bunch of politicians that propped up this paradigm and the system that we have that is failing because they personally benefit. So, as much as they claim to be against Trump, they love his policies. That's why you got so much of these centrist Democrats that reach across the aisle. Reason they're reaching across the aisle is because when they reach across, that hand is full of cash when they pull it back. So it's in their best interest personally, for personal gain, to keep the status quo. They'll tell you what you want to hear, just like they will on both sides. That's what they do. It's all pillow talk. It's just like that guy at the bar. He talks a bunch of shit, a real smooth talker and stuff. He'll do anything to get in your pants. Well, these fuckers will do anything to get in your wallet, and they have. I mean, there's not much left. I mean, there ain't much of a middle class left, and what was middle class is now pretty much poor, and struggling. And so, like I said, I was talking both sides being confused. There's more than two sides, and I kind of fall into that other area. There is your independents, and independents cover a lot of ground. These are people that have other ideas, beliefs, and outside of the two-party choice that they want to force on us. And people like me, we're not going to accept that. There's more than two ways to do things. And there really is not two parties. They're both the same party because they have the same donor. They're getting paid by the same people. It's, you get paid by your boss. So whoever you're taking the money from, that's who you're working for. And they're taking it from the donors and the lobbyists, and none of them work for us. So, you know, The people like me, the independents, which don't really take a label because there is no label to really suit us, and you could have 10 independents in a room and they all have different ideas from each other, but they differ from the red and the blue. So that makes us independent. So there's lots of options. There's as many options as there are people. So two sides, nah, that's a fictitious category and a wall they put up in their artificial box that people want to get stuck in. But a lot of us, or most of us independents, we're not confused at all because we see it for what it is. We knew when they elected Trump exactly what was going to happen. And, do you blame Trump? You blame him for being an awful person. Can you blame him what he's done for the country or to the country? No, you can't. You can blame all these fuckers that are stuck in their little box of ideas. And you vote no blue no matter who people, you're keeping us stuck in this fucking cycle. Because the lesser of two evils is still evil. And what's considered evil is depending on one's own perspective and which side and label they take. So to the red, the blue's always going to be evil. To the blue, the red's always going to be evil. And from where I sit, they're all evil. And the only way to get out of that cycle is to bust up that two-party system. And sure, I'm sure there's lots of independents that are evil too. But the fact of the matter is, once you bust up the two-party system, it opens the door that's been closed. So even if you pick somebody that's shit, that's a third party, and start getting them in there, then that tears down the barriers. It it shows that there's consequences. You can be fired. People are not going to buy into, oh, we only have this choice or that choice. So they get as many options as they want. They just got to exercise them. And what we need is enough people on the independent side and the no blue, no matter who people to realize this cycle and get behind a third party candidate just to bust it up. Once it's busted up, then you can start cleaning up the pieces and pick out the good ones and throw out the bad ones. But as long as everything's intact, you can't move it. It's like trying to move a building. It ain't gonna happen. You gotta tear it down and then move it out in pieces. And if there's stuff to salvage, you can salvage it. And everything else goes in the trash. And that's what we need to do with this whole system. So quit being confused. Accept things for what they are. If you made a mistake, you made a mistake. If you were fooled, you were fooled. We've all been fooled before. But we don't have to be ignorant and say, I'm not going to admit it. I'm just going to stand my ground just so I don't have to admit I was wrong. Well, that's just stupid. And you're causing everybody else to suffer. So, it's time to get your heads out of your asses and see things for what they are and start taking a real stand. And you fuckers that want to get behind these fucking shit politicians like Marie Glusenkamp Perez, she's more MAGA than Fetterman. I mean, just by her voting record, it's on record. She is the most Trump-aligned Democrat in the fucking party, and that's the problem with taking parties, man. Because you're backing a group of preset ideas instead of backing an individual that's got a plan, that's got a proven track record, and you got these. Our choices are not by us. These red and blue, that's what these primaries are all about. They decide who their leaders are going to get behind. So the leaders are picking, and you guys are just going along with them. just so you can wave your banner of color. "Oh, I got my blue flag or my red flag." Fuck your flags, man. It's time to use common sense and stand behind people, and people that are sincere, and people that have a good track record. We're all going to make mistakes at times. There's always going to be somebody that fools all of us or most of us. But we're not locked into that, and you don't have to be. And then you just get rid of them. But it's easy to get rid of something when it's not walled off. You know what I mean? Put into a box like they with these two choices. Once you get a third party in there, it opens the door for whatever party. And there shouldn't be no parties. There should just be people that run on policy, track records, and merit. And that's who you should vote for. You shouldn't vote for somebody because they got a banner they fly or two-line slogans that sound good. I'm so sick of slogans. The minute a politician comes out with a slogan, I already know what they're about. They're about appeasing the ear. They're not about anything real, tangible, or provable or knowable. So I don't know. It's time to wake up, man. It's time to wake up, and if we're gonna come together, we got to come together in reality, not in this fantasy thing, and in this blue or red, no matter who kind of crap. It's just locked us in. That's all I can say about it. And if we're gonna change anything, we got to change things because that's not a strategy. That's a tradition. We've been doing it since the birth of this nation. Every election's been stand behind this party or that party, because they tell us who's electable and who's not electable. And if you vote for this guy, he's not electable, and it's going to cause the worst of the evils. And again, what's evil is relative, to the individual. Um, so, it's a tradition now. It's not even a strategy. A strategy is how to get us out of this mess, and how to get us out of this mess is quit doing the same two steps. It's like that guy that's got the same two moves in the bedroom. It gets boring after a while, and there's nothing new or exciting about it. You know what to expect every time. You're either going to get it this way or that way, and that's the way we're getting it right now. And either way, we're getting fucked, and it ain't a good kind. So to change things, we have to change things, and we need to step outside of tradition and use real strategy by doing something different. Who am I? You probably don't care. You probably don't listen. But it's common sense. This is a fact. You can deny it or keep doing the same old, and get the same old, same old. That's what you're going to get.